Welcome to Optimize Your Endurance Riding with the Sweaty Equestrian. Personal trainer and endurance rider Tamara Basinger is here to help you ride stronger in a day and longer in your life.
Hey there, Tamara here from the Sweaty Equestrian, where we explore optimal performance for distance riders. The endurance riding off-season is a variable thing. For some, it's a welcome opportunity to engage in other activities. For years, I skied all winter and rode all summer. It was a nice mental break combined with a different sort of physical challenge. Others enjoy taking the time to let themselves and their horses relax and recoup from the hustle of competition. And indeed, extended rest can be really important for letting potential overuse injuries heal. We also benefit from more time to spend with family or some good books. There's nothing wrong with that. But then there are riders who chafe as the months drag on, and it feels like they'll never be able to get back in the saddle. Well, no matter which bucket you fall into, and maybe it's different ones at different times, there's almost certainly more that you could be doing to leverage the endurance off-season. What if instead of just recreation time or downtime or wasted time, the off-season could become your unfair advantage? Today, we're going to consider some practical ways that you can make the off-season work for you. First, let's talk about using time now so it's freed up later. You know how when you first start conditioning for the year or begin packing for the first ride in a while, you're all excited to get going and wham, you run into roadblocks. The spare tire's flat. You forgot to order a new helmet. Oh, and the buckle on that bridle broke, didn't it? And I think those snacks in the LQ looked good, last October. Yeah, you know what I mean. So you end up annoyed, spending perfectly good riding time doing things that you could have done in the off-season. So, what kind of things? Well, truck and trailer maintenance come to mind. Check those tires, including the spares. Top up your fluids. Check the oil. Check your trailer floor under the mats. Fix any broken hinges, screens, worn seals, burnt out light bulbs, those nagging things that you kind of ignored last season, but that you have time for now. If something needs professional attention, great. It can sit at the shop for a week or two without disrupting your conditioning plans. And how about tack maintenance? The off-season is a perfect time to go over all of your tack. Check for corrosion and wear. Make any necessary repairs or replacements. If you need new stuff, a new saddle pad, new hoof boots, whatever, you can order it now and not stress over shipping times. If your tack was hurting you last season, use your off months to figure out why so you can be more comfortable next year. You probably also have routine cleanup to do. Are your saddlebags still stuffed with mystery globs of granola and used Kleenex? Have you refreshed the toiletries and medications that live in your LQ? How about washing the sheets, the towels, the horse blankets? Seriously, who wants to deal with washing horse blankets at the height of the ride season? Do you need to order more electrolytes or liniment? You can do all that now. You can also get ahead on your horse's annual care. Dentals and vaccines, for example, might put your horse off the riding calendar for a few days, so why not do them when you're riding less anyway? If you had some soundness or nutrition issues last year, maybe get a vet's evaluation so you have time to deal with corrections before it's time to get really serious about conditioning. While you're there, get your annual Coggins out of the way. So you see what we're doing here. We're looking for things that need to be done and can also be done now instead of later when we'd rather use the time for conditioning and competing. Another thing you can do to make the off-season your unfair advantage is problem solve. During a webinar a couple years ago, the good folks at the Old Dominion Equestrian Endurance Organization recommended taking some time to think hard about what caused you stress during the previous ride season. Really stop and think. Was it controlling your horse at the start? Nagging tack rubs on horse or human? Towing your trailer? Worrying that your horse will escape his confinement in the middle of the night in ride camp? Lack of confidence or comfort with your camping gear? Whatever it is, once you identify the exact things that stressed you out last year, you can use your off-season to work on those things. Seriously, get someone to help you practice backing your trailer in tight spaces or lighting your camp stove. Train some new buttons into your horse to help with control. Maybe experiment with a different kind of ride camp confinement. All of this will make next year more fun. Less stressful means more successful. You can also use the off-season to power up your own fitness. This might mean getting your cardiovascular fitness up to par so you don't get as tired during long rides. It might mean dialing in your nutrition to lose a bit of weight. It might mean focusing on your PT exercises to get past those nagging injuries. It might mean targeting specific muscle imbalances or weaknesses that lead to compensation and pain in the saddle. The thing about physical change is that it usually takes time. A safe, smart fitness progression will typically take at least 8 to 12 weeks to really start showing up in your daily life. So why not start now while you have more time in the day and enough months ahead to feel the difference during the ride season? Working on your own fitness is one of the biggest ways you can turn your off-season into an unfair advantage.
Optimize Your Endurance Riding is sponsored by Essential Endurance Rider Fitness, the only personal fitness program designed by an endurance rider for endurance riders. If you're ready to ride more and hurt less, check it out at thesweatyequestrian.com/fitness.
You can also work on the other half of your partnership, your horse. What if you buck up and ride when other people won't? If you're dealing with cold weather, slick footing, and short daylight hours, get creative. There's an old saying among outdoor adventurers that there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad gear. Now, I won't agree that that's 100% true, but good gear really will get you a long way toward comfortable riding in wet or frigid weather. So get a hold of some warm riding tights, maybe in a windproof fabric. Consider putting a riding skirt over the top. There are insulated ones or some that are just waterproof. Wear a snug base layer with a high neck topped with mid-weight layers and a Gore-Tex shell. Ideally, use items that you can unzip so that you don't get sweaty and then chilled when you turn into the wind. Personally, I like to ride in gear made for other outdoor adventure sports. Clothing cut for activities such as skiing, snowboarding, and cycling tends to work really well for riding horses. It's often much higher quality than the majority of equestrian-specific brands. Sometimes it's less expensive, and it's much easier to find secondhand. If you want to save some money, hit up your local outdoor gear consignment shop for deals on quality brands like Marmot, Mammut, Outdoor Research, Rab, Patagonia, and lots more. To get around slick footing, see if you can find a long gravel road or some sand. Even if you just walk in deep sand or snow, that can be a fantastic workout for your horse. Or see if you can locate an indoor arena. And I know, a lot of endurance riders cringe at the thought of arena work. And honestly, I think that's often due to boredom for lack of a clear goal. So maybe you can work with an instructor or get a hold of some kind of program that will elevate both your and your horse's skills in a systematic way so you know exactly what to do instead of just going in a few circles and wondering what now. Even if you have nothing but a tiny wedge of dry-ish dirt under a run-in, you can still work on your unfair advantage by teaching your horse stretches and practicing equine massage. As a side benefit, working with your horse in all kinds of weather, including storms, will make you much more comfortable when you inevitably wake up to sideways rain on the day of a 50. Because then at least you'll be accustomed to handling your horse when he has that additional mental or emotional challenge. As for the daylight hours, well, maybe this is your year to get comfortable riding in the dark. I mean, if you want to ride hundreds, you need to do this anyway. So try easing into it by starting at sundown and letting the light fade as you ride. Choose a familiar trail without hazards like traffic, barbed wire, cattle guards, and it's fine to stick to a walk until you're comfortable trusting your horse to trot. Maybe your off-season is super hot rather than cold. If that's the case, you can use night riding too. You can also reframe your off-season work as an opportunity to focus on heat acclimation, safely, of course. Choosing to ride when other people won't offers more than just training and conditioning for your horse. It can also change your own brain. Running coach Greg McMillan explains that our brains have a massive amount of influence on our bodies. When our brains feel threatened, like by discomfort or intense effort, they send fatigue signals to our bodies. And this makes sense, right? Evolutionarily speaking, our brains are not interested in completing endurance rides. They're interested in keeping us alive. However, we can train our brains to respond differently to suffering. Our brains get more comfortable with appropriate suffering through consistent exposure to challenging experiences. McMillan suggests that we endurance athletes gradually increase our exposure to suffering. 1 to 3 weekly exposures to hard things, like riding in inclement weather, will get our brains familiar with discomfort, and then our brains will stop sending those frantic stop signals to the body when the going gets rough. Cool, right? So what are the takeaways here? First, look for tasks you can do now so you don't have to do them later. These can be the big, time-consuming things, as well as little things like having your dewormers for the year in stock. The things that will make you say, whew, I'm glad that's done, when you're super busy during the ride season. So take a walk through your tack room, your vehicle, your trailer, your camping gear. Figure out where maintenance and cleanup are needed. How about your horse? Can you book him for some routine veterinary care? Maybe even blood work to check in on his nutrition. Ooh, and have you sent in your hay for testing lately? Make a list and start checking items off. I guarantee it'll keep you entertained for more than just a weekend, and you will be so glad to have that time back during the season. Next, settle down with a mug of your favorite brew, close your eyes, and think back to last season. Dig past the happy memories of triumphant finishes and really face the ugly parts. Did you spend 2 hours getting your horse in the trailer? Did you struggle to get on because he was spinning in circles? Did you lose sleep over whether you could fill your tank without taking out the fuel pump with your big trailer? Identify those stressors, then form concrete plans for eliminating them now in the off-season before you find yourself just miserably pushing through again. Also, get in the habit of working out. Lay that foundation for strong, comfortable riding next year. Do the cardio, do the strength training, do the mobility work. If you don't know what to do, visit my website. There's a link in the show notes. But do make fitness a habit because it will pay off big time when the ride season rolls around. Finally, consider riding when other people won't. Toughen your horse, your confidence, and your brain by putting in the miles even when it's uncomfortable. One last thing. Take some time to dream. Plan out your upcoming ride season so you know when to condition hard and when to build in rest. Strategize a plan B in the event that plan A doesn't quite pan out. Having an idea of where you're going will help motivate you to crawl out from under that blanket and get a head start on your endurance year. Turn your off-season into an unfair advantage and go optimize your endurance riding.
Hey, if you want to get more sweaty, visit the blog at thesweatyequestrian.com. You can follow The Sweaty Equestrian on Facebook or find @SweatyEquestrian on Instagram. And remember, you have what it takes to be a full athletic partner for your horse. Saddle up strong.